Well, good morning, and thank you all for being here today. And I want to start by welcoming our City Council President, Myrtle Cole, Councilmember Barbara Bree, who is chair of our city's Budget Committee, Councilmember Chris Cate, who is chair of the Public Safety Committee, and Bishop William Benson of the Total Deliverance Worship Center, and of course, all of our other great community leaders, pastors, city employees, department directors who have joined us here today. Today, all of us are very proud to introduce the fourth One San Diego budget. This budget keeps City Hall's focus on the three things that matter most to San Diegans: our road repair, our public safety, and delivering the neighborhood services that our families rely on. As many of you know, we are facing a lean budget year. Rising pension costs, despite the fact that we've granted no new benefits, are taking a bigger chunk out of our bottom line. The good news is I'm going to keep my promise to put our neighborhoods first. We had to make some tough decisions, and we had to prioritize what was most important. That's why this budget is focused squarely on neighborhoods. And that's why key services like our rec centers and libraries, like this Malcolm X library behind us, are protected in this budget. And I'm proud to say that this budget keeps rec centers and library hours at their highest level in a decade. Thank you, ma'am. This balanced budget, and it is a balanced budget, takes a fiscally responsible approach to funding services that the City Council and I have worked very hard to restore and expand over the last several years. It keeps us on pace to fix 1,000 miles of roads over 5 years, with funding for 349 miles of street repair this year. It boosts infrastructure spending to the highest levels in a decade. And it supports reforms to tackle San Diego's housing crisis and make housing more affordable. It continues funding for programs to reduce homelessness. And it directs millions to help us increase our local water supply through our pure water recycling project. And of course, it invests in our police and our fire rescue academies as we continue to recruit more individuals to come to the city. And it continues funding for the plan that has improved 911 response times. It provides new resources for our Bayside Fire Station, which is scheduled to open this December. It funds projects that support our climate action plan. And it staffs 5 new parks with 33 acres of parkland. And it funds a special election for my ballot measure to modernize and expand the San Diego Convention Center, repair roads, and reduce homelessness. And it fully funds our reserve targets. It keeps our promise to direct 50% of revenue growth to infrastructure, a commitment made permanent by 2016's Proposition H. And as I mentioned earlier, it protects libraries and rec centers, which are so important to our families in every single neighborhood across the city of San Diego. Now, I want to be clear. San Diego's economy is strong. We're seeing more sales tax, more property tax, and tourism tax revenues for city services. But due to changes in how the pension costs are calculated, the pension promises made by past city leaders are getting more expensive. Paying for those pension mistakes have drained hundreds of millions of tax dollars over the last decade. Dollars that could have been going into neighborhood services. And paying down that pension bill, along with the need to fund essential programs, created a budget gap of approximately $80 million. And we filled it through strategic reductions and finding efficiencies across city operations by using a projected surplus in the current year's budget and by responsibly using reserves, including the pension stabilization reserve that I created last year for times like this. Not too many years ago, this shortfall of this size would have sent shockwaves through City Hall. But this is a different San Diego. This wasn't as bad as it could have been because we've been preparing for changes. We've established a strong ethic, a fiscal discipline. We've created the city's first pension stabilization reserve. And we used the pension reform tools that voters gave us in Proposition B. San Diego is better equipped than ever before to clear any financial hurdles that are placed in front of us. In fact, even knowing about this upcoming budget that we're doing, an independent city credit rating agency recently upgraded the city's credit to AA. That's right, our credit rating was upgraded because of our underlying fiscal health and our financial outlook. That says a lot about how far our city has come. But the bottom line is this: despite some belt tightening at City Hall, San Diegans will not feel the pain because we're still paving and repairing roads at a record pace. We're still investing in more infrastructure than ever before. And we're still steadily bringing back the neighborhood programs that San Diegans care about, that San Diegans expect, and that San Diegans deserve. We've made so many gains over the past 3 years. Our message is very clear. We are not going backward. Streets, infrastructure, neighborhood services, these are our priority for San Diegans. They're a priority for me. They're a priority for the City Council. And they're a priority for the men and women that are standing behind us that work every single day to provide those neighborhood services that San Diegans count on. And ladies and gentlemen, this will stay a priority in this year's budget. And before I turn it over to our other speakers, I want to thank all of our city employees for their continued commitment to providing outstanding services to our communities. Budgets are never easy, and I sincerely appreciate the contribution of every single city employee. And of course, I want to give a shout out to our fantastic financial management team for their hard work over the past few months developing this budget. In particular, our Chief Financial Officer, Mary Lewis, our Financial Management Director, Tracy McCraner, our Financial Management Deputy Director, Matt Vespi, Budget Coordinator, Adrian Del Rio, and their entire dedicated, talented staff. This team did a tremendous job. There's hours and hours and hours of work that people don't see. I also like to thank our Chief Operating Officer, Scott Chadwick, our Assistant Chief Operating Officer, Stacy Lometico, my Budget Director of Finance Policy, Jessica Lawrence, and my Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief of Policy, Mike Hansen. And as I said before, our entire city department and our crews who have one vision, which is to deliver those neighborhood services and make San Diego a better place. So thank you for your contributions. Thank you for all of the hard work. Thank you for your commitment to ensuring that we focus on results. And now I'd like to introduce the Chief Financial Officer for the City of San Diego, Mary Lewis, who will provide some of the details and the specifics on the budget. Mary?
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer. As the Mayor mentioned, the fiscal year 18 proposed budget keeps the focus on key services that this administration and City Council have worked to restore. This $3.6 billion budget was balanced in accordance with the city's commitment to long-term fiscal responsibility. First, I'll talk about the revenues. This is a structurally balanced budget. It follows responsible financial practices by ensuring that ongoing expenses are funded with ongoing revenues, and that one-time expenses are paid for with one-time revenues. The city is projecting modestly improving revenue from property tax, sales tax, and tourism tax. Property tax revenue growth is projected at 5%, sales tax revenue growth at 2.5%, and transient occupancy tax growth at 5.7%. But this revenue growth has been outpaced by a significant increase in expenses, mostly notable from the city's annual pension payment. This follows recent changes by the San Diego City Employees Retirement System's Independent Pension Board. The portion of the pension payment for the city's $1.4 billion general fund has increased by $45 million, from $191 million in fiscal 17 to $236 million in fiscal 18. The increase stems from the changes in actuarial assumptions calculated by CSRS, such as the projected longer lifespan for retired employees and the lower than expected returns in the past fiscal year. These changes were made by the Independent Pension Board outside of the city's control. The overall result was the need to balance a total of about $80 million, which this plan does. We proposed the following to balance the budget. First, there are about $22 million in reductions spread across various city departments, Most of these reductions are relatively small in nature, but they add up to close to a big portion of the gap. These reductions are ongoing, meaning that these savings will continue into future years' budgets. Examples include eliminating 59 full-time equivalent positions for a savings of $8.6 million. Most of these positions are currently unfilled. Reduce contracts in Transportation and Stormwater Department with minimal service impacts for a savings of $4 million. Lower fuel cost by using renewable diesel for a savings of $500,000. Reduced water consumption in the Park and Rec Department for a savings of $400,000. We also used $16 million from the new Pension Stabilization Reserve Mayor Faulconer proposed to the City Council, and the Council ultimately approved. There is a reduction in arts and culture funding, which sets the funding level at $10.4 million. Even with this change, it still remains higher than what the mayor proposed in his first budget in fiscal 15. Finally, we made fiscally responsible changes to reserve levels based on current needs. And we budgeted over $8 million in projected surplus from the current fiscal year budget next year. Balancing the budget involved making tough decisions and a commitment to fiscal responsibility. The mayor and I sincerely appreciate every public employee and stakeholder who helped maintain the fiscal health of our city by contributing to this budget. We look forward to working with the public and City Council during the budget adoption process so we can enact a responsible and balanced budget for the next fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Terrific. Well, now I'd like to introduce our City Council President, Myrtle Cole, who, besides our Council President, represents this fantastic neighborhood that we're in, including those great new sidewalks that she was a champion for and all the great things that are happening here at the Malcolm X Library. Our Council President, Myrtle.
Thank you, sir. Everyone, walk over there after this so you can see our beautiful sidewalk. Thank you, Mayor Faulconer, and good afternoon and welcome to the beautiful Malcolm X Library in the 4th Council District. It is very telling for us to meet here at the Malcolm X Library today because despite facing a budget deficit, our libraries and park and recreation centers are just some of the many critical city services that we need to maintain and continue to enhance whenever possible. I am pleased that the mayor's budget proposal prioritizes our core community services such as libraries and parks. It provides funding to keep the operating hours at our recreation centers and libraries at the highest level, as the mayor said, in a decade. This proposal also calls for funding to staff 5 new parks with 33 acres of additional parkland, as well as funds to develop the park master plan, a blueprint for future parks throughout San Diego. Rest assured, though, that I will be working with my fellow council members and the IBA to review the mayor's budget and work to ensure it preserves and enhances city services and programs to the greatest extent possible. I'm asking the public to attend our upcoming budget hearings beginning on Wednesday, May 3rd, and continuing until Wednesday, May 10th. Your input is absolutely needed and deeply appreciated at these budget meetings. I so look forward to working together to approve a fiscal year 2018 city budget that responds to the needs of all of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Myrtle. Thank you very much. Thank you, Barry. Next up is our Budget Committee Chair, Barbara Bree, who's now this budget is turned over to her committee and the entire City Council. Council member?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. As chair of the Budget Committee, I want to communicate the budget process and encourage you all to actively participate. Yes, we're facing a challenging budget year, but fortunately, this is not the Great Recession. The mayor is proposing minimal impacts to core services, and that includes protecting public health and safety, libraries, and rec centers. The council is eager to review the budget with a fine-tooth comb, and based on my briefing with the mayor, I am confident that we will finalize a strong fiscal year 2018 budget that prioritizes community services. Despite the need for some reductions, it's encouraging to see a budget that includes investments in our neighborhoods and continues to prioritize fixing our streets and hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure projects, nearly $450 million. The budget as proposed calls for nearly $71 million in funding to repair 349 miles of streets. And I'm particularly excited about the largest infrastructure investment in a decade, $74 million for the innovative Pure Water Recycling Program. And I'm proud to have the flagship facility in my district. It's critical to communicate your needs and have your voice heard about these important decisions. Now that the mayor has presented his budget, the next step is for the city's independent budget analyst to conduct an in-depth analysis. Then, starting on May 3rd, the Budget Review Committee begins hearings at which each city department will present. Public testimony is welcome and encouraged at all of the hearings, as well as at an evening meeting of the full City Council on May 15th. Since it might be difficult for some residents to come downtown to City Hall, many council members are holding budget town halls in their district. The District 1 meeting will be on Saturday, May 6th. These meetings provide an opportunity for you to communicate your concerns and have your voice heard. After the hearings, the council makes revisions to the mayor, and the final budget is scheduled to be presented to us for adoption on June 5th. The City Council, the mayor, city staff, and I are all committed to a responsible and strong, balanced budget that invests in future generations of San Diegans. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council President Cole, city staff, and the community.
Next up, I'd like to introduce our Public Safety Committee Chair, Chris Cate. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. As the mayor mentioned, after years of increasing neighborhood services, we are facing a challenging budget year. Fortunately, the mayor and this council have been able to both set aside funding in our pension reserve to reduce the impact of our increased pension payment, as well as defining the core services our city provides to our neighborhoods. As chair of our Public Safety Committee, I'm pleased the proposed budget includes maintaining our public safety service levels and programs. The proposed budget will fund a fire academy to maintain full staffing, which we are scheduled to achieve this year. It provides a fast response squad for the San Pasqual Valley, which is in an area in need of coverage. The budget maintains funding for 4 police academies, which are needed to hire more police officers. And lastly, this budget maintains the hours of our libraries and park and recreation centers, which are the bedrocks of our neighborhoods. I look forward to working with my council colleagues over the coming weeks to further evaluate the budget and ensure we are providing the highest level of core services to our residents. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, I want to thank all of the council members who are here today and the entire council for all of the work that they have been doing. And finally today, I'd like to invite Bishop William Benson to say a few words on behalf of this terrific community here. Bishop.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Mayor Faulconer for inviting me to speak on behalf of the residents of southeastern San Diego. Since becoming mayor, he has consistently said that he wants to put the neighborhoods first and have backed up his word with each and every budget. I know he was tested on that this time around because of the cuts that he has been making. But to let you know that I'm telling this community in a very thankful way that the mayor has kept his word and has shielded these libraries, and the mayor is cutting back on the areas where he feels necessary to make sure that the neighborhoods will never suffer. We want to keep our libraries and our rec centers open. We want to make streets repairs. We want to make sure that our investments in our neighborhoods are kept strong and they are thriving. All of this is continuing in this budget plan that he is presenting. I know that the city council members feel strongly about our neighborhoods too, and we want to go through this budget process with that in mind. And again, I want to thank the mayor and the city council members for putting neighborhoods first. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. Thank you all of you. Thank you all of our community leaders. Thank you from our council members and, of course, the men and women that are here on behalf of our city and our department directors. It is a team effort. Will continue to be a team effort. I'm very proud of the continued focus on neighborhoods that this budget will ensure. And with that, all of us will be available to each of you for one-on-ones. Anybody up here, council members, department directors, if you have key questions, and myself as well. Thank you very much.